Hello, and welcome to the Vlogging Pod. Tonight, we are joined by Amy Bernstein. Hi, Amy. I sure hope I pronounced your last name correct.
You got it. Got it right.
Awesome. I'm telling you, your voice, though, I could just, we've already established my favorite actress, but I could really get into that.
Well, my hair is almost as white as Jamie Lee Curtis's, so there you have it.
I'm looking at your website as well. Yeah, I see that. I've dyed my hair a few times white. It's an awesome state, I tell you, it really is.
Agreed.
So, Amy, now you do have a presence on the internet. I've looked you up and dug a little bit deep into you. And one thing I have to say is that you've been quoted saying, "Your mission is to help creative people embrace their calling, excuse me, without apology, especially women." What has the moment in your journey when you realized you had to stop apologizing and start owning your voice?
That is the question. I'm so glad you asked me that. You know, I lived with so much self-doubt and uncertainty and insecurity for so long. And a day came when I looked in the mirror and I said, you know what? Life's half over, maybe more. It's time to do what you really, really, really want to do, what you need to do. And I did do that, but I needed to do even more than that. I realized I needed to reach out and help other people who, I didn't have a mentor, who just to help other people sort of along and find their truly sort of authentic, creative self and really step into it. So I wanted to own mine, but I wanted to help other people own theirs.
Hmm. Now, you're speaking of trying to get your voice out there and help others. You have a book, Wrangling the Doubt Monster. Tell me a little bit about that.
Wrangling the Doubt Monster, Fighting Fears, Finding Inspiration. This book grew out of my lifelong struggles with doubting my own ability to sort of step into my own creative energy and really go there and really take the risks. And I finally realized, you know what? I'm going to put this down on paper because I've decided I'm not alone. There are other people out there who feel this way too. Let's get it out there. Let's normalize conversations around self-doubt and creativity, and that is scary, but we really need to go do it. And that has been just a phenomenal journey that has led to so many honest conversations with writers and artists and creative people around the world, because we really are in it together. We may doubt
Mhm.
ourselves, but we can still be artists.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree. Now, your book has resonated so deeply that it's already winning awards. Now, tell me about that.
Yes, it's nice. I mean, I like that. I really enjoy the recognition. It was shortlisted to the Eric Hoffer Award for the Grand Prize, which is great. I mean, I didn't get the Grand Prize, but hey, you know what? I was happy to be shortlisted. That was good. It did get a
Mhm.
first place in Book Best for self-help and inspiration. It was a finalist in the Indie Excellence Award. I'm going for it, right? I'm just going for it. But I gotta say, I love that validation and I love that recognition. But what really, really matters is connecting with other artistic people, other writers, other creative people, and helping them sort of see and embrace their own power. That's what matters the most to me. The awards are nice, but they don't make change. These conversations with people around their own creativity, that's what makes change.
Right. Now, this might be a mute question since you basically have said what it means to you and why you feel that it's working. But why do you think so many people are relating to the book itself?
Because human beings are doubting themselves all the time. We second guess
Mhm.
ourselves. We worry that we're not good enough. We look at social media and we see this image of perfection, which isn't reality. And we compare ourselves and we feel like we're failures by comparison. And, we're in a culture that rewards money and profit and certain
Mm,
kinds of success and power and titles. And when you are an artist, you might not have any of that, but it
mm.
doesn't make you a failure and it doesn't make you lesser than. So self-doubt is so rampant, particularly in creative communities. And when people read this book, Wrangling the Doubt Monster, they'll see that on every page. It's like, oh, other people feel this way too. This is great. I am not alone.
I understand that. I've written 15 books myself, so I get that. I think we're our worst critics.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you probably know it doesn't get that much easier, right?
No.
I'm working on
No.
my 7th novel and I'm struggling. It's like, oh, this is terrible. I'm never going to be able to do this. And yeah, it doesn't get easier. But what does get easier is when I call it walking past your doubts. You allow
Mhm.
yourself to feel doubtful, but also remind yourself about the joy and the urgency that you feel to create. And so you do it anyway, and you don't let the doubt stop you.
Right. Now, you've coached so many people and authors in general. What's the first thing you want them to hear when you start coaching with them?
Yeah. Both with coaching, teaching, whatever it is, that author has to realize that they need to give themselves permission to sort of explore their own path, to make mistakes, they're allowed to have do-overs, to go down roads and paths that may not be the best ones for their work, for their book. You have to give yourself permission to experiment, to try, to fail, and also recognize this takes time. Writing takes time. And we live in a real hurry up society. You can't
Mhm.
rush this. So it's
No.
important. It really is a mindset that you have to get into in order to be productive, certainly as a writer.
Oh, I agree with that. So there's something really vulnerable and brave about pivoting careers, especially later in life. And I'm in my 50s, so I kind of feel that. So, what did it take for you to personally embrace the creative pivot?
Yeah.
And how can others find that same courage to do so?
We all need to find that moment. It's different for all of us when it's all about making change in your life, and change is difficult. It's scary, and we don't always know how to do it. But if you reach a moment where the pain, let's say the psychic pain of not making a change is so great that you'd rather face the pain of and the scariness of making the change than the status quo, you sort of reach a tipping point. It happened for me. I was standing on a the track of a commuter train, and one way took me to work in Washington, DC. The other way would take me to work to New York for fun and pleasure and just screwing around. And I stood there on the platform in the middle and I said, "You know what? Maybe I don't go to work today. I can't stand it. Maybe today I go to New York and I play hooky and I abandon all my responsibilities." And when I had that thought and I almost crossed over that track, I knew, okay, this is not good. You gotta make a change. You gotta make a change. And that sort of kicked me off. But, you know, it's not something that we always do all at once. People think, well, I don't know what to do, so I won't do anything. Or it's like, I can't upset the apple cart now. I have too many responsibilities. Change can happen in increments. I really think that if we're going to make those changes, we can ease into them. You don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. It doesn't mean that you wake up and turn in your notice and quit your job and live off your savings. I mean, that is an option, but it's not the only option. We can ease ourselves into these changes and pivots, and there are ways to do that.
Yeah, it becomes harder as we get older just to pivot so greatly and to give up, to be able to live off your savings. So I agree with that. Starting slowly, even if it's just weekends that you give yourself to be able to venture down an untraveled path.
Exactly. Sign up for a course that you can do online or in your spare time. Sign up, go learn how to bake bread if this is your passion. Take a writing course if this is your passion. I started writing plays. I found a local playwrights group. I could do all
Mhm.
this I didn't have to have a lot of spare time. I had some. I could do this in my free time and begin to develop that passion and nurture and explore that side of myself to decide if it was something I really wanted to do more of. So we can start small and then we can find ways of making shifts. What I did is I started changing jobs so that I could take more time back. I cut down my commute, so I took 3 or 4 hours back a day by changing jobs. But, again, this was over time, and I planned these strategies. You can do it. You can make those changes if you plot them out. And it may take you a year. It may take you 2 years. It may take 3. It took me 5 years from the time I decided I really had to make a change to the time when I went to write full time and step away from the working world. That was a 5-year transition, and a lot happened in those 5 years, but it doesn't have to be all at once.
Right. I agree. So now, quote me if I'm wrong here. You often say we need to normalize conversations around self doubt.
Right. We do, because we're not really allowed to show our vulnerability. Vulnerability is weakness.
Mm,
Vulnerability is associated with failure. We live in this culture where we see nothing but success in social media and other things. And so when you are doubtful, you are in a vulnerable state. And when you share that vulnerability, you're really sort of taking chances with how other people perceive you. And so we try not to do that, right? We try and look, I know what I'm doing. I'm strong. I'm really competent. I'm so good at this. I'm projecting myself as like successful and really certain and confident, all these things, right? Because we value that. But deep inside, we're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm making some bad choices. I don't even know what to do next. I think I'm really blowing it. And this is all going on the inside.
mhm,
What if we flip the script? What if we talked about the insecurity? What if we talked about the vulnerability and the self-doubt? What if we shared a vocabulary around this, told stories around this? When I run creativity workshops, I'm in a room full of multimedia artists of all ages and all backgrounds who suddenly are looking around and going, oh my gosh, I am not the only one who feels this way. And that's actually empowering.
mm. So now on self doubt, what would you say is the one myth or maybe misunderstanding might be the more appropriate wording for self doubt?
Myth about self-doubt. I think the myth about it is that you need to stop whatever you're doing because you're not certain, because you're not sure. So the myth about self-doubt is, oh, well, if I'm doubtful, the universe is telling me to stop. Stop dead in my tracks. Don't go forward. Don't do the thing. Don't make that decision. Don't make that plan. Don't make that leap. Don't start writing that book because you're doubtful. That is not truthful. It's a feeling, but it's not the only feeling. Our heads are so good at playing and replaying a lot of negative messages to us back all the
Mhm.
time. Like we're dialed into that channel, like the negative radio channel. But
Right.
when you think about all the positive things that you've done for yourself, all the things you've accomplished, all the ways that you've succeeded and overcome odds in your life already, if you focus on that channel instead, doubt is just one small piece of that. It's not the whole ball game. And so the myth about doubt is that it's meant to stop us in our tracks, when in fact, it's just one piece of the puzzle. And what it means is you're heading into risky territory and you should take those risks of a creative nature.
Mhm. So, what do you think is the most pronounced thing that holds people back that doubt themselves?
Fear.
Fear?
It's fear. We're scared. We're scared to fail. We're scared to look foolish. We're
Mm.
scared to share our writing with the writers group because they're going to see that we're terrible at it. We're just, and a lot of the time, especially for many people, particularly people for coming to things like writing or and other art form a little bit later in life, you've already been competent in a field. Let's just assume this. You already have core competencies, right? In whatever done to make money over the years. When you pivot to something very artistic or very creative that you haven't practiced a lot, or maybe you haven't practiced it since you were a kid, it's actually going to be a new skill set and you actually have to learn it. And you may actually be pretty crappy at it at first and you may fail.
Yeah.
But so that's scary. You're not used to failing in your 40s or your 50s or your 60s. You're not used to that. So
Right.
fear is really the thing here. And the rewards of just fighting through that fear and letting it not stop you, the rewards are tremendous. It's worth doing.
I should disclose here that I've been writing for a little while, and one of the things probably since my late 30s, and one of the things is I always put it on my writings was I was called the unorthodox writer, and I never realized that my writing was different because you were just saying about being creative. And I didn't realize that to embrace that bit of it, but I didn't realize there was an issue until I started reading the reviews, which is probably, like, the worst thing if you're gonna do, 'cause they will rip you up. I mean, don't get me wrong, it can be helpful as well, but you've gotta have some thick skin for some of the reviews, and I never realized that my writing was different. I don't know, it's hard for me to articulate here
Well,
because I've had some. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I mean, when you say different, I mean, it's almost like different from somebody else's idea of what's quote unquote normal. But
Mm. Let
but
let me
but you're just being you.
Yeah. I have I have an uncanny ability to twist words when I'm writing, and to where the words sound a lot alike and roll on your tongue, and I'm very I like fast-paced. I don't have a lot of time for the lulls in the stories,
Mhm.
but I try to put the lulls within the course of the story itself, and I don't know, I got a lot of feedback, and I didn't think that it was a bad thing at time, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it took me a while to embrace it. Now, don't get me wrong, I've polished it more. Laura is also my editor here, and she knows how much I hate editing. But well, the funny thing is that it took me a while to realize that it was a creative outreach for me,
Mhm.
and once I embraced that, even if I just got one reader and they got me, I mean, they actually got me, you know what I mean? The whole premise
Yes.
of what I was trying to then I felt like a success. I might have 10 people that hate me, but as long as I got the one that liked me, you know what I mean? But I have to be honest with you, even with the people that hated me, they still finished the book, and I'll take that as a compliment.
Right. You weren't in the DNR. The DNR did not, the DNF, excuse me, the did not finish pile. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. So, have you yourself been swarmed in the self-doubt in your own course of writing?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I mentioned that I'm starting my 7th novel and, of course, Wrangling the Doubt Monster is nonfiction, and I was a journalist and I got awards for that, and it doesn't really matter what keeps coming your way. The doubts are there because every time you're just thinking, "I'm not measuring up. This isn't good enough. I'm not as good as I need to be. I need this to be better. How do I make it better? Can I make it better?" It's always there. It's always, always there. I mean, I just turned a book into an editor, a novel that'll be published probably 2027, I don't know yet, and I went through the manuscript for the millionth time before I gave it to the editor with the publisher, and
Mhm.
you're still thinking, Is this as good as it can be? Did I miss something?" You know what is it the best that I could possibly make it? So you're always wondering that. But then you have to celebrate the upside of that, which is, "Hey, you did it. It's done."
Right.
And you really tried to do all that you could do, and now you gotta put it in somebody else's hands.
So, this just comes to me, so this is off my script. As a journalist, how do you would you go back into that nowadays? Or is it yeah, that's what I
No,
I didn't wanna go down a rabbit hole, but I was curious. I wanted to know, like, if you could go back. Yeah. So
no, but I'm really grateful for the skills because I bring quite a bit of research and sort of a journalist perspective even into my fiction, and I
mhm.
have and I write on Substack every week, and I think that my journalist habits help me with that, help me with, like, a weekly essay. But no, 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 wouldn't wanna be a journalist right now, wouldn't really advise people to go into the career right
No.
now. Nope, wouldn't.
No, I agree, I agree, without going down that rabbit
Not
hole.
going down that road. Yep,
I
yep.
know. Excuse me. Oh, I fully understand that. It's just like I said, we'll go down that road, but there's a lot of things I could say. So, now you often say okay, I already said that. I have to scratch that one off. So, you bring both practical publishing expertise and emotional support as a book coach. How do you find that that's often received?
Thank you for asking that question. So, as a book coach, I work with authors mostly in the nonfiction and the memoir space, not in the fiction space by choice, because
Mhm,
I do have a long nonfiction background, in addition to being a fiction writer myself. And every writer deserves to feel supported and encouraged in what they're trying to achieve, but they also need guidance and structure and tough love. And so it's the balance between the two that helps turn a lonely writer into a supported writer. So when I work with a client, and I've worked with clients in many different areas and areas of expertise, and it's so rewarding, I can help them take a raw idea and really work it until we have a workable book proposal that we can shop in the marketplace for an agent or a publisher. And I have several authors who are coming into that so-called, or happen to be coming into that point right now. And it's very exciting. But every author deserves both of these things, right? They need to feel encouraged and supported and as though they are understood what they're trying to do. But they
mhm,
also need the tough love that comes from someone like me saying, this is not going to go down the right road for you with this project. It's not the right structure. It's not the right format, whatever it might be. It's not the right
mhm.
lens for the project. We need to rethink this. So it's both. It's a both and situation. And that really helps writers to thrive.
So, how do you convince them that they have a story within themselves to write? I mean, do you find that extremely hard, or is it relatively easy since they are seeking
It,
you out in the first
it's not my job to convince anybody most of the time. It's my job to help them discover what
Mhm,
they want to do and can do. And not everybody has a book in them. And sometimes you have to go through a process where it's not the idea isn't the right idea for a book. And you have to go through a process with them to get there. But many, many times they need someone to help them do this, like almost like an archaeological dig. What's down there? What are we going to
mhm,
find? What are we going to bring up with all those, all that shoveling? And so I'm I'm all about helping that writer discover their own book. Now, sometimes, to be honest, if I really think there's a book there, I can see it before they see it. And then
Ah,
I'm helping to lead them. Like, no, I don't think you're saying this, but I do think you're saying that. It's like, nope, I don't think this is like the structure or the viewpoint, but I do think this is your structure. But I'm not in the business of prescribing. I'm in the business of helping an author make those discoveries.
mm. So, for those listening who might be standing at the edge of a big creative leap,
Mhm.
whether it's writing a book, launching a podcast,
Mhm. Yep.
or starting something very brand new, what's the most gentle but powerful way for them to tell their truth or help carry it forward for them or
Mhm.
help them get to that point?
It begins with giving yourself permission to try, permission to fail, and permission to succeed, which is also scary. And you must be patient with yourself that this doesn't happen overnight. You cannot expect quick results, fast, fast results. You may not generate revenue right away. You may not be able to support yourself. You may have a lot of rejection on the road to success. You must give yourself permission to take a really messy journey without a lot of clear wins that happen quickly. But you
Mm,
must find the joy and the passion in doing that thing to keep going.
I agree. I want to thank you so much, Amy, for being with us this evening.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
I've actually just really like listening to your voice. You have like almost like a bucket list. I can almost check that off. It's
If only I
awesome.
could monetize that.
I know it is awesome. I'm telling you. maybe if you got into that whole Audible thing and people actually had aspirations of her reading it and thought, "Wow, she almost sounds like her." But that's awesome. I love it. I think it's awesome. I just love listening to you. You sound so much like her, and your information that you provided was so helpful. I wanna thank you so much, and I know there are gonna be lots of listeners who are gonna appreciate the valuable information you passed on tonight.
Well, thank you. I've really appreciated the conversation and where it led us, and so I'm so glad we did this.
Oh, anytime. Knock on my door anytime. I'd love to revisit it.
Great.
Until next time, our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, bye bye for now.